It's not just visitors from across the border. We've had all kinds of visitors making their way to your patch recently. In fact, yesterday you had a very important visitor come down and have a chat about a number of different topics. The Premier was in town. Where did you take him?
So we had him land at Mount Gambier Airport, and he got to see the brand new airport down there open in its full spectra. And then we had a meeting in Mount Gambier with the Forestry Hub and also other forestry representatives at the what was the Carter Holt Softwood Holdings, but now is owned by Borg Industries. And we had a meeting in their boardroom there with a number of foresters and processors and alike. I think it was a round table type of discussion. The discussions that came up there, Jason, was the huge amount of money that looking to be invested in the forestry sector, looking for state government participation and support in any shape or fashion that we can obviously get our Premier on board with. That's the sort of discussions that went around. Yep. We also talked about the water licensing issue with forestry and expansion, probably lack of expansion opportunities, and trying to allow forestry to maintain the land that it does have as much as we can, because there is a shortage out there at the moment, Jason, on forestry products with this building boom that we see going on, probably worldwide as well as Australia-wide. And we know that, I hear that some building and developments are being held up because of the lack of timber out in the industry at the moment. But our forestry sector has a very, very important role to play, particularly from this region, with our recovery from this COVID pandemic and getting our economy back on track. So all those sort of discussions were had down around that round table. And then the most important thing was we went on down up to Millicent to Kimberley Clark KCA for its 60th birthday, which was a year late due to COVID last year, which we had a bit of a ceremony and a tent and a plaque opening by the Premier, where he gave a good speech to some of the employees at Kimberley Clark with the media, and we had my federal colleague Tony Passon there, the member for Mount Gambier was there, Troy Bell, along with Des Knoll, Mayor of Wattle Range, Lynette Martin, the Mayor of Mount Gambier. They were all there as well. So it was a great function. We spent a couple of hours there. We went across the road to Roundwood Solutions, to Steve Telford's new wood treatment plant there, which was the old Kimberley Clark pulp site. Right. We looked at that new creosoting business there, which is a new, more of an organic, environmentally friendly type preservation process. And looked at and considered a couple of other jobs and investments he's looking into, including trying to deal with the waste CCA posts. Yep. And the way that they are dealt with and the opportunities he thinks that might be there by turning into biochar and using them for heat, and then maybe even looking at a new sawmill proposition there, which Steve Telford is looking at. So that was also very interesting. And then we took him on to Kingston, where we looked at some of the coastal issues that Kingston Council's suffering with their jetty, the boat launching facility, Mariah Creek Outlet, as well as the Cape Jaffa Marina and all those problems, just to give him a little bit of a heads up about those sort of issues as well. So, and then also it's a Main Street upgrade that he, the state government, the federal government had participated in, seeing how that developed. And then we sent him on his way back to Adelaide, where he had to be back there for, I think it's 6:30 dinner and meetings on that night. So it was certainly a busy schedule, Jason, but we got the most out of him as best we could.
Good stuff. Well, he didn't plan it well. If he was going to have dinner anywhere last night, it should have been in Kingston. Larry the Lobster, I think, could probably recommend one or two things down there, but that's a topic for another day. So, hey, it's great to see him back out in the region. You mentioned, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's not necessarily your patch, but I know you're working really closely with Troy Bell down in Mount Gambier. And I wanted to talk about logistics issues that the forestry industry are facing at the moment, because I'm almost positive that would have come up. I know that a lot of timber gets sent up to Bordertown at the moment, sits in a yard there and then gets freighted by rail to Melbourne. And that doesn't seem like the most logical way of going about it, I wouldn't have thought, Nick.
No, look, and that was happening too, Jason, but my understanding since the China issue has reared its, let's say, ugly head, yep, with the banning of imported timber, that I believe that the Bordertown Internode, as it's called, has gone very quiet. Yep. I also know some of the timber over the wharf at Portland's also slowed down. And that was the other thing that came up with the discussion with forestry there, Jason, was that with these investments that were talked of, this Borg proposal where they're talking about a new particle board business and further investment, plus a new sawmill, it's actually trying to capture more of this timber that we've been sending over to China. And that's the most interesting thing, trying to utilise more of this timber that has been exported that perhaps our sawmillers haven't been able to utilise as well as we could have, and perhaps, adding another level of competition and competitiveness with exporting raw product away from Australia and trying to use it here first and foremost. So that was what also came out of those conversations, Jason. So if that is one of the outcomes that happens, it will be certainly a positive outcome for our region to be able to utilise more of that timber rather than sticking it on a train or a boat for overseas markets.
Here. Value add at home. Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense.